Hi, welcome to Intermediate Algebra for the fall semester 2024. I am Professor Fort. This introduction video is a chance for us to sort of get to know what's in the course. I'll explain things sort of like you would on the first day of class, right? We'll go through the syllabus, but because this is an online class, I'll also sort of walk you through Canvas, explain the various parts of the course, where to find things, and some of the policies that go with it too. I also think it's important at the beginning of an online class that you see my face for a minute or so, right? There is somebody on the other end of that computer when you're sending emails or working on things. If you get frustrated or you need a little bit of help, send me an email, come to office hours, hop on Zoom, and we can set up a session there. But yes, there is somebody on the other side. And then it would be nice also at some point in the semester to see your face. So I do have an office on campus. This is my little office at home, but West 320 is my office on campus. Stop by at some point and introduce yourself and maybe bring some math problems with you too. All right, let me share my screen and then we'll take a little walk through the course and through Canvas to get you acclimated to intermediate algebra. All right, so here's my screen. We can see it. This is the main screen that you logged into when you first got into the course. Just a couple of quick things. These little tiles that are up here are just preset color-wise by whatever Canvas chooses, but you can change those colors. So you notice for some reason they made 3 of my classes green. Ours is the only one that's a different color. But you can go up here and hit those 3 buttons, and then, I don't know, change this one to blue. And then when you have the different courses listed in your calendar, they'll be color-coded. Like if I did it for mine, 3 of mine would be green, and it would be hard to tell which course was which. But doing it this way, now one's red, one's blue, one's green. I could always change the other one too. So we are intermediate algebra. When I click on that, it opens up the whole course. Right? So these will all be published eventually by the time the first day comes. So the course information is what you saw when you first logged in, if you logged in earlier in the week. The syllabus is up at the top of the second module. So each of these things are modules. You click on the module, it opens, and then if there's too much there and you're like, all right, we're done with that, you click on that, and look, it closes it. So you can close all the modules, and then I have it organized by weeks. So this thing at the beginning will be gone after the first couple of days of class. You'll have a module of course information, which is sort of like a reference, and then each of the weeks. And I put the dates in there, so once one week is done, you could always close it, open up the next week. So we go weeks 1 through 14. There's information about the final exam review. And then if you purchased your books through the bookstore and they gave you a Brightwave code, I'll move this up to the top. This is where you go to get that Brightwave information. And then it's also a link on the side as well. All right, so if you open up course information, the first thing at the top is the syllabus. So the syllabus is sort of a guideline of where we're going for the semester, how things are going to be graded, dates and policies and all that kind of stuff. This welcome video will be replaced by the one that I'm recording right now. Right, this is custom for this fall semester. This course information link has a lot of the stuff that's in the video, but if you are looking for a specific piece of information, it might be easier to look through that text there rather than to rewatch the video. When we get to discussions, I have the discussion guidelines posted in here. If you're looking for optional problems beyond what's on the online homework, this is the problem list of problems from the textbook. I will update the tutoring center information when they get me that. And there is a withdrawal and refund schedule. So if you're wondering when the last day to withdraw is, or when can I withdraw with like 50% of my tuition back, all of that information is in that handout as well. Okay, so the course information module is a nice little reference there. So if you open the syllabus, here I'll pull the syllabus now so I can go back and forth between the two of them. So the syllabus is 7 pages long. Okay. The last 2 pages are a summary of what's due on what date. So I might print that out and put it somewhere near where you do your work or a desk or something like that. Right? If you saw the intro video, I had a little bulletin board next to me. Oftentimes I'll put the schedule for my online classes there so I know from day to day what you're working on, because I don't see you in person every day. But I do want to know what you're working on so that I know how to respond to things. All right, so on the syllabus, at the very top, obviously, is the name of the course, the semester. My office is in West 320 at the end of the 3rd floor hallway on the left side. Student hours, we used to call them office hours. I have a very long teaching day on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so there's only one slot from 10 to 10:50 that I'm free. But then Mondays, I have office hours from 10 o'clock to noon. If you want to hop on Zoom, just let me know, and I will send you a link before the office hour starts. Also, there are some times on Wednesdays, if you want to have individual appointments about something, then we could do that as well. Best way to contact me is to use the Canvas email tool. So I put it on the syllabus, I put it in bold, I highlight it in yellow. That's the easy way to get in contact with me. So how do you use the Canvas email tool? Well, if you look on the left side here, I have a little thing that says 1. I have an unread message. Actually, I know what it is. I just haven't responded to it yet. But that's where the Canvas email tool is. So let me bring it up and move my screen around so that you don't see the emails that are already up there. All right, so that's what part of the screen looks like. The part on the left is the list of student emails, and I don't want you to see student names and emails, so I pulled that off the screen. Over here is where you send a message, right? So up at the top, you see that little pen. You click on the pen, it says compose a message. And then you can select who do you want to send it to. So you got to pick the course, pick our intermediate algebra class, right? And then you can send things to, you could actually email other students in the class. You can pick me or whatever and then hit send and I'll get the message. It's much easier to do it through Canvas. Outlook, sometimes I miss messages that are there, but if you're on an online class, you're on Canvas every day, so it would make sense just to send emails through Canvas. So please send emails through Canvas. That's the best way to get in contact with me. All right, what else is on here? It says allow 24 hours weekdays for a response. Like I said, I have a teaching schedule on Tuesdays that goes from 7 in the morning to 5 o'clock at night, straight through on meeting days. So oftentimes it'll be hard to respond in the middle of the day unless, a class is taking a test or something. But, the next morning I'll have plenty of time and I will get back to you. The class meets asynchronously, no in-person meetings except that you're going to take the test and the final exam in person in the testing center. Now, I put a link information here about RVCC student resources. On our Canvas course, right, if you pull up our Canvas course, top here it says RVCC student resources. The idea is that every teacher in every department uses the same set of resources so that we're all giving you the same information as opposed to like copying and pasting from previous semesters and then things change. So some of this might be more applicable to you than others. If you want, you could certainly read through the Board of Trustees and find out who's there. Other things might be more pertinent like tech support. What happens if Canvas isn't working one day or you come to campus and you can't access the Wi-Fi? You might want to save that somewhere in case that happens and you can't get on. That's where you go for technical support. If there's something you needed to print out, we do have printing on campus, right? If you need alternate forms of Canvas, right? Like a reader or high contrast or something like that. Advising and transfer, at some point you're going to want to get out of here and transfer somewhere or go into a workforce after you've completed your degree here. They can help you with that. Mental health and personal counseling, very important, right? There's free immediate access to teletherapy. There's a code to scan and a number as well. So knowing that this information is here can be helpful when you find yourself in need. We have a resource center and food pantry. If you get accommodations, the CAIE will get you a letter, and then you got to get that letter to me, right? And that's important. Tutoring center, yes, we have a tutoring center. There's the information on their website and so forth. So college policies are in there as well. Withdrawal from courses, incomplete grades. So the idea is that if I just give you that link, then we're all using the same set of policies rather than have different policies from course to course. Okay, so that's what that is on the syllabus. The Math and Computer Science Department chair is on every syllabus. It's a requirement. There she is. Our textbook, you don't need a hard copy of the textbook. If you want to get the book online, you can certainly do that. You will need access to My Math Lab. We worked out a deal with Pearson where they give us a discounted price for access to My Math Lab with this specific course. So rather than purchase the book, you can just purchase the course directly through Pearson or through the bookstore, and then you don't need a paper copy of the book. But don't just purchase a generic access code, right? Because it may not work for this course. So make sure that you're purchasing the correct access code just because somebody from last semester says, hey, I got a good deal for you. It may not work with this course because of the deal that we struck with Pearson, where you're getting the course for a decent discount. So when you go into the course, on the left side, it says Access Pearson. If you took a course before that used Pearson, it might have said something like My Lab and Mastering. Well, about 3 weeks ago, they changed it. Now it says Access Pearson. So you click on Access Pearson, and you'll get something that says, Getting Started. And you log in with your Pearson username and password. If you don't have one, you create an account. All right. And then when you open it, it opens up our course, right? Math 030, Intermediate Algebra, Fall 24. On the left side are a whole bunch of different options. One of them is the e-text. Another one says chapter contents. So if you want something that looks like our book, we actually start the course in chapter 3. Right? So if I click on section 3.1, There's I record videos for every section of the course, but if you want to see somebody else's videos, they have videos in there as well. It says you can click here for your e-text. So you do that, and look what comes up. Section 3.1. So this looks like your textbook, right? It's not in HTML. It's got all the pictures and everything in it. There is the page numbers down the bottom, right? So if you know where you're going, certain page, if I give you review problems and I say they're on page 322, you can just type in 322. On the side is the table of contents. You can jump to any other chapter and any other section in the course. Depending on how you learn best, you might watch my videos and then you might want to go back into the textbook if there's something that you don't understand, or you say, well, I need to see another example, or I'd like to see somebody else's take on it, right? I might solve the problem one way, maybe the textbook does a little bit different, and that resonates with you better. It's not a competition. If the textbook works better for you, let the textbook work for you, right? Or use it in combination. But that's how you access the textbook, meaning that you don't really need a paper copy of the book unless you really want it. All right, so that's how you access it. Go into the course and then look for the e-text. All right, here's the material that we're going to cover. Some of this you've probably seen before, some of this you might not have, right? Everybody in this course probably has a different set of strengths and weaknesses, except a lot of people struggle with factoring. But aside from that, there's probably some things that you're really comfortable with and others you're not. So as you go through the course, you will find places where you're like, this is easy, I got this. And then other times you're like, what happened? This is tough. Well, when things get tough, come visit me for office hours, visit the tutoring center, look for other online videos and explanations through Pearson or wherever, and just realize that some things will come easier than others. There's a course description. You can read through this. This is the catalog description. Course placement. If you are in this course, we assume that you've had a decent background in those topics, and you can retake the placement test. So if you got a score that was very close to the next level within the first week of classes, you can retake the placement test, and then if you retake it and it says, yep, you can go to a higher level course, then you can do that. All right, for every hour in class, you should expect to spend 2 hours outside of class working on other things. So because we don't have an in-class, out-of-class, right? You were working on your own. So in a 14-week semester, you should expect to spend about 12 hours a week watching videos, reviewing notes, working on problems, posting discussions, asking questions, preparing for tests, and so forth. So this course does move quickly. There is a slower version of this course. It's a 6-credit course called Intermediate Algebra with Review. That's another option too. All right, I expect that you're going to log in daily, maybe every other day, but certainly you shouldn't be logging in just once a week because work piles up quickly and you need time to absorb the material that you're learning. Last day to withdraw for the semester is Monday, November 18th. I had mentioned before, if you need accommodations, that's the address and that's the website. So how are you going to be graded in a developmental course? That's what we call a course like Intermediate Algebra. A good chunk of it is based on tests, right? So there's 4 tests, each equal weight. They add up to 45% of your grade. The My Math Lab is what you get through the Access Pearson. That's your online homework, 10% for discussions and 30% for the final exam. So there's A's, B's, C's, and then anything less than 70% is a none of the above. So to pass the course, you got to get at least a 50 on the final exam, overall grade of at least 70%. Tests you'll take in the testing center on campus. So when I get to the schedule in a minute, you'll see that I usually have 2 dates that you can pick up. Check to see what their hours are. Right? The testing center has various hours. Make sure that you're scheduling your test on a time when you can make the whole 2-hour block so that you get the entire amount of time that's allocated. If you miss a test, if there's something, let's say you're at a conference for work or something, contact me in advance. That's something you would know about, and then we could make arrangements. Please don't wait until after the test is closed and I've gone to the testing center and picked them up to email me and say, oh, I just remembered there was a test. I just remembered there was an excuse. It's hard to do makeups because I grade the test pretty quickly and send them back. And once I've given the test back, I can't then give you the same test that everybody else has taken and I've already gone over the answers to, so that puts people in a bad spot. So in general, I said late assignments, including discussions, won't be accepted. If you were sick, you have a doctor's note, there was an issue and family-wise, something that you can document, please let me know. It's not an absolute rule, but in general, that's the case. Because we're online, we're not in person. there has to be some sort of interaction amongst the students in the class. And so the way we do that is with discussions. So for most chapters, I have a discussion that has a couple of problems on it. So what you'll do is you'll solve the problems. You won't see anybody else's responses until you post your response. Once your response is up there, you'll get to see other people's responses and then go through and comment on them. So you don't have to comment on everybody's, but if you see something you're like, my answer disagrees with that, and you might post, I did it this way, or you might notice that they added 2 numbers wrong, which is completely possible. Very nicely, you might say, you should check the line, 8 plus 3, because then you have 10 for the next number, and that's not what I got. And then you can reply to your own post and put in corrections. So that also means then you should post early enough. So I say post by Thursday night. This way you can look at other people's solutions, they can look at yours, and if you differ, then you have some time to go back and revise. If you post it on Sunday night, not only are you not going to get feedback, but you're not going to see other people's responses either, and you'll lose that opportunity to change your response if it's not correct. Also, I said, please don't post a half-done solution or a blank response just to see other people's responses. And also be aware of academic integrity, right? If you ask ChatGPT to give you a response, it'll give you a response. And I'm probably about 80-85% on being able to tell whether you did the problem or you put it into an AI program, because the responses on my end look very different from each other. So please don't ask ChatGPT to make your response for a discussion post, because at the very end, you're not going to learn how to do something if all you're doing is copying and pasting. So final exam will be done in the testing center. The dates are listed on the syllabus and in Canvas. I put the policies for makeup work, again, get things in on time. So this is our schedule. The first week actually goes from a Wednesday through the following Sunday, so I call it week 1 plus. It's like a week and a half, because what I'm trying to do is get my semester so that the work is due on Sunday night. This way you have the weekend to catch up on things if you have a little bit of a tough time during the week. So you notice that for each of the weeks, I have the topics that you're going to cover, a lot of topics in the first week, but again, it's really a week and a half, and those first 4 topics are review topics anyway. And then things that are due. Everything's due at 11:59 except for things like the tests, which are due when the testing center closes. So there's an introduction discussion, first post in chapter 3, final post, and then chapter 3 assignments due online. And this follows through for the whole semester, right? You'll see when chapter 1 test is. I gave you 2 dates to pick. There's the test on chapter 2. There's a test on chapter 3, and then test on chapter 4, final exam, right? Week 13 is very short because that's when Thanksgiving is. And then the final exam, I gave you a whole bunch of options to take it in the testing center. Right? So these last 2 pages are kind of handy. Print those out, front and back of a sheet of paper, and then you can sort of check things off as you do them and make sure that everything's in. Try to get things in before 11:59. This way, if Canvas hangs up a little bit or there's a tech issue or you lose internet connection or something like that, you're not panicked at 11:47 saying, I haven't submitted any of my work this week. What do I do? Try to get things in early, right? Technology is not perfect. All right, so what's left on here for me to explain? When you open up the weeks, I try to set them up the same way. Sometimes at the beginning, I'll have a week overview to sort of give you information about the week, so start with that. Right? Sometimes I'll have like a document like this first unit is on graphing. So if you need some graph paper, I have some graph paper for you. I post the PowerPoints that I used and then all the videos. So the videos are all linked to YouTube videos. I mean, if you want, you can set it up so that you make a link to the YouTube playlist for my intermediate algebra, but they can also link from here directly. The PowerPoint is what I used when I created the video. So if you wanted to download the PowerPoint and then watch the video and work out the problems as I worked them out, you can print out part of the PowerPoint. You can keep a notebook of some sort, right? Anything to sort of help you along to be more successful. And then these links down here are links to the online homework. So once you click on the Access Pearson and set the course up the first time, and if you don't pay for it right away, there should be an option that says, give me a 14-day free trial down the bottom. So you click on that, it links up the courses, and then you can get started on the homework. So like if I click on the homework from section 3.1, I open it up, and it just opens up to a window that says, open Pearson. So we open Pearson. And there it is, right? There's 4 questions on the first assignment, and then you should be able to click on the question, and it brings up the question. Okay. There's also an optional orientation activity that I had put in here. So if you've never used an online program like this before and you want to get some practice on it, there is a My Math Lab orientation, and I will link that up in the first week. It's optional. It's not required. So there it is. All right, so if you want to do that optional orientation, you can. I'm not going to transfer those grades over because if people have used it before, there's no reason to do it again. Then after the notes and the videos and the homework, I have a spot for discussions, right? So discussion guidelines. The first introduction discussion is easy, right? You're going to introduce yourself. Then for chapter 3, you're going to solve a couple of problems and post the answers. If you want to do them out in a tablet, if you want to post an image, that's fine too. Just make sure I can read it and show all your work. Other weeks, there might be other things down the bottom, right? Like here I have both discussion and reviews. So I have reviews for the tests and then answer keys to the reviews that show all the problems worked out. So when we get to the first test, you can see it there. Now, by the first day of class, this whole thing will be open. So if you wanted to, like if you were having a particularly busy week the next week and you want to get ahead a little bit, you could always go ahead and get some of the work done for the following week. This way, you keep up pace-wise. The one thing you can't do is you can't go back to the previous week. So it is all open. You'll be able to go work ahead a little bit so that you can keep on pace. Okay. On the side here, other things like people, will just list the people in the course. There is a tab called the syllabus. So I already posted the syllabus on the top, but here's another way to view the syllabus as well, right? You notice the way that this is set up is that it goes by date. So on Tuesday, September 3rd, here's what's due. On Sunday, September 8th, here's a whole bunch of things that are due, but you also had a week and a half to do them, right? September 15th, you'll see that first test is due on the 24th and so forth. So that's another way to sort of keep track of when things are due. And then at the very top of this page, I have another copy of that syllabus as well, right? So that's the fall 2024 online syllabus. Your grades are exactly what they say they are. I will put grades in like as soon as the Canvas homework, my Math Lab homework wraps up for a certain week. The next day I'll transfer those grades over so you can see week by week what you have, what you're missing. I'll put discussion grades in, tests, and so forth as you do that. Announcements, I will sometimes post announcements. Some of them will be just reminders about things that are due. Other times they'll be like an answer key to a discussion or something like that, or some pointers if you're preparing for a test, or if I just graded a test, I might make some comments in general to the class, and that would be under announcements. I would set your Canvas up so that you get an announcements. If you have the Canvas student app, you can get them right to your phone. You can have them emailed. It may be something like, I don't know, by the time we get to the end of the semester, it'll be December. Maybe the school's going to close early on the day of a test, and I need to make an announcement to let you know that what the plan is, because maybe you were going to take the test while the school was closed. What's our new plan, right? That would come through announcements, and it saves you from having to send me an email and say, hey, what do I do? Oh, he posted an announcement. The test will be available tomorrow, or whatever the story is, right? So same thing with like if an office hour needs to change. Every once in a while, I do observations of student teachers, and they may only be available certain days. So maybe instead of Monday one week, I'll do Wednesday office hours. So those announcements are helpful, especially in an online class since we don't see each other face to face. All right, so I think that's a nice little walk through Canvas. I've shown you the syllabus, print out that schedule, and then as the semester goes on, if you have questions, go over to that little inbox on the left side of Canvas, click on it, send me a message, and we'll set something up. Have a great semester. Best of luck in intermediate algebra.